I've never been one for ghost stories. I used to laugh when people said certain places held energy, as if the air itself could remember tragedy. But that changed the night I boarded the train to Blackridge, a place I hadn't heard of before that evening. A place that shouldn't have existed on any map. I've tried to convince myself that what happened wasn't real, that my mind filled in the blanks of a dark night with nonsense. But sometimes, when I'm alone, I swear I can still hear the low, metallic hum of the tracks beneath my feet. It comes without warning, faint and steady, like something waiting just beyond the edge of my sanity. It started simply enough. I had missed the last regular train out of town. My phone was dead. My card had been declined twice at the cafe, and the cold November rain had soaked through my coat. I remember standing under the flickering platform light, watching the empty tracks fade into darkness, thinking how much I hated my life at that moment. Then, as if summoned by my frustration, a soft chime echoed through the station's intercom. A woman's voice, distorted and calm, announced, "The midnight train to Blackridge is now boarding on platform 3. I frowned, confused. The old station hadn't used platform 3 in years. It was closed for renovation after a derailment. Yet, sure enough, a faint light appeared down the far end of the platform. I thought maybe it was a maintenance vehicle or some overnight line I didn't know about. But as I walked closer, the air grew heavy and oddly warm, like stepping into a room that had been sealed too long. The sound of steel against steel whispered faintly, and then, out of the fog, the train emerged. It looked wrong immediately. The carriages gleamed under the station light, but not in the way new trains do, more like something freshly polished for display, not for travel. Its windows were too dark, the glass tinted almost black, and the emblem above the door, though faded, looked old-fashioned, ornate, in a way that made me think of forgotten eras. Still, I was freezing, desperate, and stranded. When the doors hissed open, releasing a soft breath of warm air that smelled faintly of iron and rain, I stepped inside. The interior was quiet. No passengers, no staff. Just a line of empty red seats and faint yellow lights flickering above. I hesitated by the door, expecting anyone to appear, but when no one did, I sat down near the middle and exhaled. The seat was warm. Too warm. I told myself it was because of the heating system, though I couldn't hear any hum of electricity. I stared out the window, trying to make out the dark landscape outside. But the glass only reflected my own pale face, shimmering faintly against the darkness beyond. Then the train lurched forward. There hadn't been any announcement, no whistle, no warning, just a sudden, silent motion that almost threw me from my seat. I glanced around for a conductor, but the entire car remained still. The rhythmic clatter of wheels filled the silence, slow at first, then faster. The lights flickered overhead, and I caught, for a brief moment, what looked like a shadow moving in the reflection of the glass. I turned sharply. Nothing there. I pulled out my ticket from the dispenser near the entrance, just to calm myself. It was printed with the words Blackridge, one way and a time stop. 12 a.m. The ink shimmered faintly, as if freshly printed. I don't know why, but those words, one way, made me uneasy. The more I stared, the more the letters seemed to pulse faintly, like veins beneath paper skin. I slipped it into my pocket and leaned back, trying to tell myself I was imagining things. After maybe 10 minutes, I noticed the air had changed. It wasn't the warmth anymore, it was the smell. A thick, metallic temps, like rust and old blood. I shifted uncomfortably. Then, as I glanced toward the far end of the car, I saw him. A man sitting perfectly still in the last seat. He hadn't been there before. I was sure of it. His head was turned slightly toward the window, his hands resting neatly on his lap. He wore an old-fashioned suit, the kind you might see in black and white films, with a bowler hat tilted low. I watched him for a while, waiting for him to move. He didn't, not even when the train tilted slightly on a curve. I thought maybe he was asleep, but something about his stillness, it wasn't the stillness of sleep. It was posed. I debated moving closer, asking if he was all right. But before I could decide, the intercom crackled again. That same woman's voice, calm and distorted, said, "Next stop, Blackridge. Please remain seated." My stomach tightened. We had only been moving for maybe 15 minutes. There was no way we'd reached another town. I turned back toward the window, but all I could see was fog, endless and grey, stretching on like a sea without horizon. No lights, no signs of life. Just the faint reflection of my face and, behind me, that man's silhouette. Then the reflection changed. For a brief moment, I saw a second figure standing behind him, a tall, thin shape with its head bent at an impossible angle, like it was listening for something. The train jolted sharply, the lights flickered, and when they steadied again, both figures were gone. My heart slammed against my ribs. I stood up, gripping the seat for balance, scanning the car from end to end, empty. Completely empty. My own breathing echoed off the walls. The sound of the wheels slowed slightly, then began to hum again, steady and rhythmic. I sank back into my seat, trembling. I don't remember falling asleep, but I must have drifted off. Because when I opened my eyes again, everything had changed. The lights were dimmer, flickering more violently now. The windows were opaque, as if coated in grime. My watch had stopped at 12 a.m., and there, on the seat across from me, lay a newspaper. It hadn't been there before. The date printed on it was November 12th, 1956. My throat went dry. I picked it up slowly, the paper crinkling under my fingers. The headline read, "Blackridge train derailment kills 67. My hands went cold. Beneath the headline was a faded photo of a wrecked train, its cars twisted and burning in a field of snow. The same emblem was on its side, the ornate crest I had seen above the door when I boarded. And then I noticed something that made my skin crawl. In the list of victims printed beneath, one name stood out in bold. Eleanor Marsh, age 27. That's my name. I don't know how long I stared at that paper, but at some point, the intercom hissed again. The voice, softer this time, almost whispering, "We have arrived at our final destination. Please gather your belongings." My heartbeat thudded in my ears. The train slowed, screeching lightly, the motion so sudden it threw me forward. When it stopped completely, the doors slid open with a slow hiss. Beyond them lay darkness, thick and soundless, like stepping into a void. I couldn't see anything, not a platform, not lights, nothing. Just black. I should have stayed put. I know that now. But something in me, some stupid, terrified instinct told me I had to get off. Maybe I thought I'd find someone. Maybe I just wanted to escape the suffocating air inside that car. So I stepped out. The ground beneath my feet wasn't solid. It felt like damp soil, uneven and soft, crunching faintly as I moved. My breath came out in visible puffs, though the air didn't feel cold. I turned, meaning to look back at the train, but it was gone. Completely gone. Only the faint sound of distant wheels echoed somewhere far off, fading slowly into silence. And then I heard the whisper. It came from behind me, so close I could feel the breath on my ear. A voice, low, distorted, familiar. "We've been waiting, Eleanor." I turned, but there was no one there. Only fog and darkness. I ran. I don't know how long or in which direction, but I ran until my lungs burned and my legs gave out. And when I finally fell to my knees, gasping, I saw faint lights in the distance, rows of flickering lanterns, leading to what looked like an old wooden station sign. I stumbled closer, every nerve in my body screaming, until I could make out the letters carved into the rotting wood. Blackridge. The lights flickered once, then everything went dark. When I woke up, the fog had thinned, but the silence was worse. It was the kind of silence that hums, that breathes, that seems to watch you from behind unseen eyes. The station platform stretched out in front of me, cracked and covered in frost. The old sign that read Blackridge creaked slightly, though there was no wind. I pushed myself to my feet, every muscle trembling, and tried to steady my breath. Somewhere deep inside, I kept repeating the same thought. This can't be real. The faint glow of the lanterns flickered again, stretching long shadows across the ground. Each one seemed to move in a rhythm, pulsing almost like a heartbeat, drawing me closer toward the station house at the end of the platform. I told myself I needed shelter, warmth, anything to prove I was still alive. As I walked, my boots left shallow impressions in the frost. But after a few steps, I noticed something horrifying. My footprints were the only ones there. No staff, no passengers, not even animals. It was as though the world had forgotten this place entirely. The station doors stood slightly ajar. I pushed them open, the hinges groaning like a warning. Inside, the room was dimly lit by a single lamp on the counter, flickering under layers of dust. Cobwebs hung like curtains across the ceiling. A faint smell of smoke and something sweet, like burnt sugar, lingered in the air. Behind the counter, a metal cash register sat frozen mid-transaction, the drawer half open, a few old coins inside, green with rust. But what caught my eye was the ticket book. It lay open on the counter, as if someone had just been writing in it. The ink was fresh, glistening slightly in the lamplight. I stepped closer and felt my stomach twist. My name was on the last line. Eleanor Marsh, one way. My hand shook as I turned the page back, and there they were, dozens, maybe hundreds of other names. Some faded, some freshly written. Every entry had the same destination, Blackridge. The earliest date I saw was from 1924. The latest was blank. Just an empty line waiting to be filled. A soft thump echoed from the back room. I froze. Another followed, heavier, closer. I could feel my pulse in my throat. I slowly reached for the lamp, its faint glow trembling in my hand as I leaned toward the doorway behind the counter. The air grew colder, though I could still see my breath. I stepped through. The back room was filled with old trunks, suitcases, and boxes, piled high like a forgotten museum of lost travelers. Some were broken open, clothes spilling out, coats, dresses, shoes, and, chillingly, a few children's toys. A small wooden train sat on the floor, its paint peeling, a single word carved into its side, return. Another sound, this time a soft dragging noise, came from somewhere deeper in the room. My instincts screamed to run, but curiosity, that terrible thing that ruins us, kept me frozen. I crouched slightly, peering between the boxes, and that's when I saw it. A man crouched in the corner, facing away from me. His movements were slow, deliberate, as though he were sifting through the items. I could see the back of his head, the same bowler hat I'd seen on the train. My breath caught. I took one step back. The floorboard creaked. He stopped. The silence that followed was unbearable. Then, slowly, he turned his head toward me. Not all the way, but enough. His face was wrong. The features were sunken, stretched tight over bone, eyes dark and hollow like bruises that never healed. His mouth twisted into something that wasn't quite a smile. Return ticket, he rasped. I stumbled backward, the lamp slipping from my hand and shattering on the floor. The light died instantly. Darkness swallowed everything. I turned and bolted through the door, sprinting out of the station and down the platform. My breath came in harsh gasps, my chest burning. The fog had thickened again, swallowing the world in grey. I could hear the sound of the man's footsteps behind me, slow, heavy, deliberate. Then, faintly, through the mist, came the sound I'd been dreading, the soft metallic hum of the train. I turned toward the tracks, and there it was, the midnight train. Waiting, its doors open, light spilling out like an invitation. The voice from the intercom returned, clearer now, echoing through the fog. All passengers returning must present their ticket. I wanted to scream that I didn't belong here, that I hadn't meant to come. But my voice caught in my throat. The man was closer now, his steps crunching against the frost. He raised a hand toward me, and in it, I saw something glint. My ticket. He held it out like an offering. I took a step back. I don't want it, I whispered. He tilted his head. You already did. Behind him, the train lights flickered. Inside the cars, I could see movement. Silhouettes pressing against the dark windows. Dozens of them. Faces pale and distorted. Watching. Some were whispering, others just staring. Their mouths opened in silent rhythm, all mouthing the same word. Return. The air felt electric, thick, vibrating, with low, distant murmurs. My instincts screamed that if I let him hand me that ticket, if I touched it again, I'd never leave this place. I turned to run, but the fog closed in, solidifying around me like smoke turned to glass. My limbs grew heavy, the air dense and metallic. Then, out of the nothing, I heard another voice, softer, female, the same one from the intercom, whispering directly into my ear. There's always a return ticket, Eleanor. The question is, when will you use it? The world tilted. The ground vanished. When I opened my eyes again, I was sitting in a hospital bed. White walls, beeping machines. A nurse leaned over me, smiling gently, her hand on my arm. She told me I had been found unconscious near an abandoned rail yard outside of town, my clothes soaked, my shoes covered in frost. There hadn't been trains running through there for decades. They said I'd suffered mild hypothermia and shock. No one could explain how I got there. No one found the ticket. That was 3 months ago. Since then, I've tried to convince myself it was all a hallucination, a nightmare brought on by exhaustion. But 2 nights ago, I woke to a faint sound coming from the street outside my window. A low, rhythmic hum, metal on metal. The sound of wheels on tracks. And last night, when I checked my mailbox, there was an envelope waiting for me. No stamp, no return address. Inside, a single piece of paper, aged yellow, faintly warm to the touch. Return ticket Blackridge to 12 a.m. The date was tomorrow. I can hear it again now, faint and steady. Somewhere beyond the city noise, the sound of the midnight train. It's getting closer. So, if you ever find yourself at a station late at night, and you hear a voice announce a train you've never seen before, don't step aboard. Because once you do, it doesn't matter where you were trying to go. It already knows where you belong. Would you take the midnight train if it stopped for you?